684.
Well, from southeast New South Wales to Southeast Asia, let's dive into a cross-cultural experience which has come here courtesy of the Bega Valley Regional Gallery. The gallery's current exhibition is called Gangguan Tengarra Edisi Indonesia, which means Southeast Disturbance in Bahasa Indonesia. It features the work of a few acclaimed Indonesian artists, including Australian Balinese artist Leyla Stevens. Her audio-visual work focuses on a dark episode of recent Indonesian history, which is often swept under the carpet in Indonesia. I went along to have a look and to meet Leyla Stevens. We're sitting in front of your work now, Leyla, and there's a woman in front of a jungle setting, and she's singing. What's she singing?
She's singing in a ceremonial style of chanting called Kidung, which is specific to Bali. And the actual text that she's singing is in response to a site of a mass grave in Bali from 1965, from the anti-communist purges that happened across Indonesia. So this was quite a quite brutal history. It was very violent. An estimated 80,000 people died in Bali, and up to 1 million across Indonesia. So, yeah.
I understand this is an aspect of Indonesian history which isn't spoken about openly very much. Is that right?
Yes, it's very much an erased history. It continues to be surrounded by this politicized amnesia. So the sort of official history that's remembered in Indonesia is very different. And there still continues to be this kind of rhetoric around how communists are remembered today as being quite violent and vilified.
Who is the woman who's singing the Kidung, and how do you know her?
Chok Sawitri is her name, and she is a writer and a poet in Bali. She also comes from a kind of a very established generation of performance artists in Indonesia. And her individual practice is quite different, but I got to know her a few years back collaborating with another work of mine where she helped narrate the script. And through that process, I also got to hear how she had this amazing sort of singing or chanting voice. And the idea emerged from that moment to collaborate on a work where she would use that in a piece.
You can see a lot of emotion on her face as she's singing this, and you've often got her in a close-up in high definition on this big screen. To the sides of her, you have some close-ups of parts of the bush or the forest beside her. What's going on there?
So on either side of her are what I call portraits of a tree, and it's a specific banyan tree in the south of Bali, close to where my family is from. And this was a site that I've documented quite a lot, and it's a site where a mass grave from 65 lies. And if you drove through the site, there's no sort of indication or marker of this history, so it's very much a kind of a sort of invisible history. So over time, I kind of came to think of this banyan tree as a sort of sentinel or a signal in the landscape to that history. And banyan trees in Bali also have this added symbolism in that they're very respected and sacred trees. They're usually thought of as attractor of spirits, so people come and, give offerings to them when they look after the trees. So I came to think of this tree as this kind of conduit to, or I guess witness to the night that happened, and this kind of witness to the missing dead that still lies there.
Why did you want to tell this particular story, and what's it like watching people here in Bega learn about it?
Well, these sort of histories I was really been interested in a while in Bali, but mostly because in the way that it's very much in counterpoint to this sort of dominant narrative of Bali as this island paradise. And I was really interested in how these sort of counterpoint histories in Bali kind of emerge and contest now within these very touristed landscapes, you have this sort of silent history. And, obviously making the work in Bali and showing the work in Bali has a lot of emotional weight. But I think showing it in Australia, there tends to be a different public conversation around it, and usually it tends to be around simply knowing what happened or finding out about this sort of history around Bali, and also maybe for a lot of Australians sort of contextualising Bali within these sort of larger national histories in Indonesia that they might not be aware of.
Do you think, given how often Australians visit Bali and that strong connection in tourism between Australia and Bali, that there's a sense of obligation for Australians to learn more about Indonesian history?
Yes, absolutely. And I think also problematising that, I guess, sort of strange sense of, I don't know another word, maybe ignorance, that a lot of Australians have around Bali. And, I think it's important to sort of know and witness these sort of histories in Bali now. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about this beautiful work. There's another reason that you're here in the Bega Valley. You and your partner, I understand, are artists in residence at Maya House at the beautiful Bithri Inlet. How's that going?
Oh, it's been wonderful. Yeah, it's through Ian Dawson and Bega Regional Valley, we were invited to come down and do the residency, and it's been this amazing time of waking up every morning and looking out at Bithri Inlet with no one around, and witnessing, incredibly bird life and the ocean right there and the bush. It's been fantastic. Yeah.
Is it too early to say what kind of work you're going to produce as a result of this residency?
It's honestly been a time of just kind of settling down and rest and thinking, which this year has been really big on so many levels, and having the time and space to just be a bit quiet and be together as a family. So we came down with our daughter as well, who's 4, has been incredible. And you don't often have that as an artist, usually, to have that time just to reflect. So that's been amazing. And yes, a lot of seeds of ideas have started during this trip.
Nice to meet you, Leyla. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Also with me is the director of the Bega Valley Regional Gallery, Ian Dawson. Ian, tell us about some of the other works we can see in this exhibition.
Hi, Simon. Thanks for being here. Yes, look, there's 3 artists in this exhibition: Gangguan Tengarra, ABC Indonesia. It's 3 contemporary Indonesian artists that we've been